Cutting emissions. Limit the amount of greenhouse gases emitted by human activity to the same levels that trees, soil, and oceans can absorb naturally, beginning at some point between 2050 and 2100. Hey. Emissions neutrality. Some of the tips below can be introduced immediately. For example, adopt an environmental management strategy. Avoid unnecessary printing. Recycle, INCENTIVIZE public and sustainable transport. Reduce energy consumption, and define renewable energy use targets. 10 ways you can start making a difference. 1. Stop buying your water in plastic. Get a reusable water bottle and keep it filled in with you at all times. You'll save money and the environment. 2. Incorporate walking or biking to some of your regular short trip destinations. In most instances, you can walk a mile in less than 20 minutes. This is a great way to add exercise to your busy schedule. 3. Turn off lights and unplug devices when you're not using them. Every little action adds up. 4. Keep the tires on your car properly inflated and get regular tune UPS. When your car's tires are low on pressure, it has to work harder to move from point A to point B, wasting gas and increasing emissions in the process. 5. Eat more food that is grown or made locally and less red meat. Taste the difference, feel better and support the Austin economy. 6. Use the cold water cycle for washing your clothes. And do your laundry in full loads. This will decrease the amount of water and energy used, helping you save time and money. Bonus points for line drying. It takes a lot of energy to power your dryer. Set your thermostat to 78 in summer and 67 in winter. And turn off the heat and AC when you're not home. You'll be surprised at the difference it makes in your energy bill. 8. Drive efficiently. Use the accelerator lightly, coast to red lights, stay near the speed limit, and park and go inside instead of idling your engine in a drive-through. 9. Keep stuff out of the landfill. Sell items you no longer use to thrift shops, have a yard sale, or donate them to charity. Recycle or repurpose everything you can. 10. Use alternative transportation, bus, train, carpool, or bike, to get to work one day per week. Enjoy the chance to catch UP on your reading instead of testing your patience in traffic. India's cutting emissions. India's greenhouse emissions rate dropped by a faster than expected 33% in 14 years as renewable energy generation rose and forest cover increased, according to two officials privy to latest assessment made for submission to the United Nations. The report's findings showed India well on the way to meeting a commitment to the United Nations Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, to reduce emissions intensity by 45% from the 2005 level by 2030. India's rate of emissions intensity, the total amount of greenhouse gas emissions emitted for every unit increase of gross domestic product, GDP, fell by 33%. Deforestation. Deforestation is a primary contributor to climate change, and climate change affects forests. Land use changes, especially in the form of deforestation, are the second largest anthropogenic source of atmospheric carbon dioxide emissions, after fossil fuel combustion. Greenhouse gases are emitted during combustion of forest biomass and decomposition of remaining plant material and soil carbon. Global models and national greenhouse gas inventories give similar results for deforestation emissions. As of 2019, deforestation is responsible for about 11% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Carbon emissions from tropical deforestation are accelerating. Growing forests are a carbon sink with additional potential to mitigate the effects of climate change. Some of the effects of climate change, such as more wildfires, insect outbreaks, invasive species, and storms are factors that increase deforestation. Causes due to climate change. Another cause of deforestation is due to the effects of climate change. More wildfires, insect outbreaks, invasive species, and more frequent extreme weather events such as storms are factors that increase deforestation. A study suggests that tropical, arid and temperate forests are experiencing a significant decline in resilience, probably related to increased water limitations and climate variability, which may shift ecosystems towards critical transitions and ecosystem collapses. By contrast, boreal forests show divergent local patterns with an average increasing trend in resilience, probably benefiting from warming and CO2 fertilization, which may outweigh the adverse effects of climate change. It has been proposed that a loss of resilience in forests can be detected from the increased temporal autocorrelation, TAC, in the state of the system, reflecting a decline in recovery rates due to the critical slowing down, CSD, of system processes that occur at thresholds. 23% of tree cover losses result from wildfires, and climate change increase their frequency and power. The rising temperatures cause massive wildfires, especially in the boreal forests. One possible effect is the change of the forest composition. Deforestation can also cause forests to become more fire-prone through mechanisms such as logging. Effects of deforestation on climate change. According to a review, north of 50 degrees north, large-scale deforestation leads to an overall net global cooling, while tropical deforestation leads to substantial warming, not just due to CO2 impacts but also due to other biophysical mechanisms, making carbon-centric metrics inadequate. Irreversible deforestation would result in a permanent rise in the global surface temperature. Moreover, it suggests that standing tropical forests help cool the average global temperature by more than 1 degree Celsius. Decrease in climate services. Human activity such as deforestation for livestock grazing and fuel wood has led to forest degradation and over-extraction, resulting in ecosystem biodiversity loss. Loss and degradation of forest has a direct impact on the Earth's diverse flora and fauna and, therefore, on climate change, because they are the best defense against CO2 buildup in the atmosphere. If there is more foliage photosynthesizing, more CO2 will be absorbed, thereby balancing the potential temperature increases. Changes in rainfall. As a consequence of reduced evapotranspiration, precipitation is also reduced. This implies having a hotter and drier climate, and a longer dry season. This change in climate has drastic ecological and global impacts, including increases in severity and frequency of fires, and disruption in the pollination process that will likely spread beyond the area of deforestation. Forest fires. Statistics have shown that there is a direct correlation between forest fires and deforestation. Statistics regarding the Brazilian Amazon area during the early 2000s have shown that fires and the air pollution that accompanies these fires mirror the patterns of deforestation. Amazon rainforest has recently experienced fires that occurred inside the forest when wildfires tend to occur on the outer edges of the forest. Wetlands have faced an increase in forest fires as well. Due to the change in temperature, the climate around forests have become warm and dry, conditions that allow forest fires to occur. 9 countries at risk of climate disaster. Somalia. Climate change has had a devastating impact on Somalia, worsening challenges of drought and extreme food insecurity. The country's political instability has made it difficult to address its climate crisis and protect vulnerable communities. Syria. Over a decade of war in Syria has eroded the country's ability to respond to crises. The conflict and an intense economic crisis have forced 90% of Syrians below the poverty line. Extreme drought and the February 2023 earthquake near the Syrian-Turkish border, which affected hundreds of thousands of Syrians, have highlighted the challenges associated with responding to emergencies in a country facing high fragility. Flooding in late 2022 affected 2.5 million people in Nigeria and caused extensive damage to the country's farmland. Will face high levels of food insecurity. Political tensions and widespread conflict have contributed to the country's fragility, making it difficult to respond to climate disasters. Maldives. Climate change severely threatens the existence of the Maldives, as an archipelago of low-lying islands and atolls in the Indian Ocean. According to the World Bank, with future sea levels projected to increase in the range of 10 to 100 centimeters by the year 2100, the entire country could be submerged. Central African Republic. Competition for control over political power and natural resources has destabilized the Central African Republic, CAR. Severe flooding threatens the safety and health of CAR residents, particularly those living in camps for internally displaced people, by contributing to the spread of waterborne illnesses like cholera. Other diseases like malaria, meningitis and monkeypox also strain CAR's weakened health system. The Democratic Republic of the Congo. The Democratic Republic of Congo is experiencing persistent conflict, economic challenges and disease outbreaks. Over 100 armed groups fight for control in eastern Congo, often targeting civilians. Major disease outbreaks including measles, malaria and Ebola pose an ever-present threat to a weakened healthcare system, putting many lives at risk. Chad ranks as the world's most climate-vulnerable country on the Notre Dame Global Adaptation Initiative Index, which examines a country's exposure, sensitivity and capacity to adapt to the negative effects of climate change. Flooding in late 2022 affected more than 1 million people in the country, while an economic crisis has led to widespread food insecurity. Ethiopia. Drought is affecting more than 24 million Ethiopians. This number is expected to rise as the country is set to enter its sixth consecutive failed rainy season. Numerous conflicts across the region and political instability have disrupted humanitarian support in the country and made it difficult for authorities to address the impacts of climate change on Ethiopia.
Thanks for watching the video. Do like, share, subscribe.